Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Big Lee's World podcast. It is I, your host, Big Lee, back in the saddle once again. It wasn't just a one episode and done. We are back. And today, I only have one of my co hosts with me. Unfortunately, Lord Farmer Billy Hills had a previous obligation and he couldn't make it tonight. He'll be back for the next episode. So it's just going to be me and Mr. Tom Rowe. Tom Rowe, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here. I'm salty at Farmer, but we'll work it out.
Yeah. He had a last minute obligation that tended to be I don't know how to explain it. He had an obligation. It got rescheduled till today. So, that's podcast recording for you. That's the podcast world. So, how's everything been going for you, man? How's your week been?
It's been good. Just working the usual.
Same. I know that feeling. Just worked all week, worked all weekend, back at it again.
I live streamed Coachella Saturday night, so it was almost like I did something, but I did not.
I forgot that it live streamed. Who'd you see on there?
I just watched Green Day. There was supposed to be. I also watched. There was an orchestra that like Dave Grohl was supposed to make a special appearance. It turned out to be LL Cool J. Fine, whatever, but not what I wanted.
I was gonna say it's a big jump there.
So now the rumor is Dave is this weekend, but I'm not gonna be watching it.
Well, we'll get into that here in a little bit. What's this weekend? I tell you, the one person that I seen that made their Coachella debut that I've been a big fan of as of late, and that's Jesse Murph.
Jesse, I know the name.
Yeah, if you just about any popular song now, to me she kind of sounds like a country twang version of Amy Winehouse. So
interesting. I like Winehouse, so
same. She got that song out called Blue Strips, and it's very catchy. If you've not heard it, go check it out. I don't know how to explain it. It's also, do you even know what a blue strip is?
I feel like I should, and you're going to make fun of me for not knowing off the top of my head.
No, I'm going to judge you if you don't give me an answer here in like 5 seconds. What's a blue strip? No Googling.
I'm just checking my email.
Nope. So, Tom Rowe doesn't know what a blue strip is, which he shouldn't feel bad besides just me bullying him. That I didn't know what it was either, and I had to Google it. And apparently, blue strip is a $100 bill.
Oh, yeah, I'm broke. I work in retail.
I was going to say, in a digital age, we're lucky to even remember what paper money looks like.
I wiped out the cash register at GameStop yesterday.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot you made your big trade-in.
Yeah, I no longer own any video games or video game systems.
How's it make you feel?
Boring, but they just sat there and collected dust, and that's what I'll do now, so.
Hey, I get it. Like I said, I get the PS5 that I probably need to get rid of because it just sits there and collects dust. I have one of the old PS3s as well that you can play the PlayStation 1 and 2 games on as well. But I just can't bring myself to get rid of it because, I have to have those nostalgic kickbacks of my youth and being able to just to actually put a disc in a system and play a game.
It did hurt me to get rid of the Guitar Hero, but
oh wow,
I think I'll be okay.
I'm surprised the Guitar Hero controller lasted that long.
I am too. I got it from a yard sale probably 10 plus years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's held up.
Was you any good at it?
I wasn't as good now as I was when I was like 14, but I could
Shout out Toby Keith.
I could still I could rip it up on hard, but expert it wasn't a thing for me anymore.
Yeah, I was never good at it.
My old man brain didn't want to keep up with the whatever they call the screen on Guitar Hero.
My only claim to fame is the alternative to it was Rock Band.
Yeah, I also had Rock Band 1 and 2 on my PS2.
And different, for those that don't know, the difference is Guitar Hero is primarily just the guitar and Rock Band was the full kit. And then you get some of the songs that are, what is it, easy, medium, hard, expert.
Yeah.
And the only thing I could do in there It's like when you get one of the death metal songs on there, and somebody needed like 100% on expert.
You were the
You know,
vocal guy?
yeah, I would come in for that. You know, I could easily knock out 100% on expert on Lamb of God's Laid to Rest.
I believe it. It's going to be a fun trip to Backlash.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're taking a group trip to Backlash, which we'll get into here in a little bit. That's I didn't realize, and you know
It's
that'll kind of
soon.
lead into what we were going to kind of start talking the first part of the show here is you know, as we're recording this, it is WrestleMania weekend. The road to WrestleMania comes to an end. And right after the road of WrestleMania is Backlash, which is their next pay-per-view, which is in St. Louis, which for those that don't know, we're pretty well about a little over 2 hours outside of St. Louis, so it's an easy drive. And an unnamed good friend of the show was able to acquire tickets for us.
Shout out to that good friend of the show.
Right. Shout out to that great friend of the show who come in clutch with some Backlash tickets. And so, but anyway, so the point of that is going to be, before I lose my train of thought because I'm old. So this weekend is Backlash.
No, this weekend is WrestleMania.
Or, I mean, this weekend is WrestleMania. Like I said, I ain't got my calendar pulled up.
Come on, Grandpa.
And then what, 3 weeks after that?
Yeah, I believe it's a 3-week difference.
Yeah, because I got next weekend we work at Squared Circle Expo in Indy. Weekend after that, I got ICW in Chattanooga and Limp Bizkit Nashville. And then the weekend after that is Backlash.
You're a busy man, Lee.
Hey, if you see my work schedule and what I have to do to make that happen, you know, I just actually put in my work schedule for May, and that first half's really nice, but that last half of May, whew, going into June, it's going to be
my
a
last
lot of
2
work.
weeks
That
of
last
May
one
will be rough.
Oh yeah,
Just Memorial Day and all that.
I was going to say, did we mention on the last episode kind of what you're known for?
I just left it at liquor sales.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that's probably, you know, that's kind of your busy time of the year starting out is Memorial Day, isn't it?
Yeah, hopefully that'll, take us through the summer. Have a good summer. It's been down lately, but
without going into the exact details of it, like when is your like high points of the season? Like, does it cut out? Was it Memorial Day to like Labor Day? Is that like your high months, or does it?
I think we
Do you
definitely
have
see
a downtime?
After New Year's to Memorial Day really is a big downtime. Obviously, you'll have like your Super Bowl spikes and Valentine's Day, stuff like that. But generally, business is pretty low this time of year.
So then it picks up from Memorial Day to Christmas, I guess.
Yeah, well, after Labor Day, it slows down for a while. Then you'll have like your Halloween spike, and then about a week before Thanksgiving through the end of the year, that's when it really kicks your ass.
Those family gatherings, you got to stock up.
Lord knows I do.
It was funny. I was watching something online, and they were talking about the cigarette culture and how as cigarettes have died down in popularity, and how vaping has picked up, it's just not the same, and how it's leading to families falling apart. Because back in the day, whenever grandma or aunt or uncle was getting mad at one another, they'd go outside on the porch and have a smoke and then have themselves to calm down the moment. And now they're not having that. People just fighting left and right over it. And I don't know why that story stuck with me, but I saw it the other day and it stuck with me ever since then.
Lee actually works for Big Tobacco and he wants you to smoke.
Right, exactly. What was that movie from back in the day? Well, not back in the day, in the early 2000s. What was it? Thank You for Not Smoking?
I think that's the name of it.
where they like the
I've never seen
tobacco.
it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like the tobacco guy and the alcohol government dude and the firearm y'all get together. Yeah, I need to rewatch that movie. That's what we need to do in one of these episodes. Is like screen a movie.
That'd be fun.
I don't know how much we get out of it because we'd probably be talking during it. But anyways,
Have to be one that we've all seen before.
I don't know. Sometimes as bad as my memory is, I can sit there. I've seen it before, and I'll sit there and watch it like I've seen it for the first time. I'm like, oh, well, I don't remember this. Well, wait, what? This happened? Wait, whoa. So yeah. So like we were saying though, Road to WrestleMania comes to a conclusion. For those that don't know, WrestleMania is like the Super Bowl of pro wrestling. It happens every year. It usually happens much earlier in the season.
Yeah, it's very weird this year.
Now, I heard different things saying that the reason they did this is because Vegas traffic is down Easter weekend. So the city of Vegas kind of gave them a little incentive to do this on Easter weekend.
It's an interesting point. I know from what I've seen on ticket sales, it's going to be one of the lower attended WrestleManias in several years.
It's also one of the most expensive ones.
When I went in 2018, I believe it was, WrestleMania 34, I paid $50 for my ticket. That's the equivalent of that ticket this year is like $1,100 for both nights.
I was going to say, when we went down for WrestleMania weekend in New Orleans.
Yeah, that's the one I went to.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, we didn't actually stay for WrestleMania. We ended up leaving early that Sunday, and we got back to Cape right as it was starting, which worked just fine for me because I turned on like an hour later. I fell asleep. So
it wasn't the best show I've ever seen.
Dude, I'm just not cut out for these long shows.
I went to NXT TakeOver the night before, and it was just night and day, like difference on shows and quality and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I get the spectacle of WrestleMania, but maybe now that it's 2 days, I could entertain going when they're in New Orleans next year. But definitely couldn't do another 8-hour show or whatever it was that day.
I think the only show we went to that weekend, I went to CZW Combat Zone Wrestling. And Combat Zone used to be known for like death matches and things of that nature. And the commission is super strict in Louisiana. So they weren't actually able to do death matches there. And by the time the crowd got around to fully realizing that, they were really upset. But like I remember on that card, it was like Joe Gacy versus Jeff Cobb. It was the debut of the Rascals, like them actually coming together as a group. I remember the title fight was Ricky Shane Page versus Ethan Page. And I remember Ricky Shane Page apologizing to the crowd because everyone was hollering for him to hit Ethan with a light tube. And he's like, dude, if I wouldn't go to jail for it, like, I would totally do it.
Should have went to jail anyway. It's supposed to be hardcore.
Right? So, but no, I mean, it's an experience. Like I said, I don't necessarily know about going to the actual show. I know they're supposed to bring WrestleMania to Indy sometime or another.
I don't know. They haven't set a date on that, but they did confirm it would be there.
Because it's supposed to be like one of each. It's supposed to be WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and SummerSlam.
Yeah, and Royal Rumble was this year.
Right. And then, what is it, 27? It's supposed to be in Nashville?
I believe that was the talk at one time, the new Titan Stadium. I don't know if that's confirmed or not, but...
No, I'm pretty sure it is confirmed. I think it's confirmed as long as they get the Titan Stadium finished then.
I got you. It's a 3.5-hour drive.
Yeah. I do it all the time. Easy drive to Nashville, so... I'd heard at first, though, when they said for Nashville, it was going to be at the soccer stadium. And then they pushed it back and we're going to do it at the Titan Stadium. Or the new Titan Stadium. Because apparently, though, that soccer stadium's pretty big.
Yeah, I believe a soccer stadium holds like regular for a soccer game 35 to 40,000.
Okay.
I know, you get floor seats in there. It probably ups it. But then you're also blocking off a good chunk of the arena for the set. So
Mm-hmm. I know we looked at going for what was it, Green Day, Rancid, Smashing Pumpkins, and somebody else played there last year. But the tickets were god awful expensive, and it was like the last weekend in July, and it's
yeah,
like
I looked at going
outdoors.
to that one before I decided on St. Louis.
See, I didn't do St. Louis because if I remember, I think it was Rancid that did. What is either Rancid or Smashing Pumpkins that didn't
Smashing
play.
Pumpkins didn't play. They ended up playing their own show there like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense to me because I knew one of them played, a couple of weeks or a couple of days after, and I don't know. Like I met Billy Corgan with NWA, so it'd be cool to kind of see him live. But at the same time, it's like I don't know if I wouldn't want to pay that much money though.
I mean, Green Day is worth the money. Obviously with the amphitheater, it's not my favorite arena, but I get that's where I have to see most shows,
Mm-hmm.
just because that's where they all go during the summer, as far as bigger acts.
I was surprised Shinedown didn't.
Yeah, they're doing Enterprise, right?
Yeah,
It's a weird one.
yeah, that definitely caught me off guard when I seen that.
I was shocked. Was it Disturbed just played Enterprise?
Yeah, I was Disturbed, 3 Days Grace, and Seven Dust.
Yeah, that just doesn't seem like an Enterprise show to me.
I looked at going to it, but it was the same day as Pain of Truth and Malevolence and Foreign Hands in Memphis. And it was like, go to a giant arena show with like 10,000 people, or go see one of your favorite hardcore bands play a dive bar in front of 50 people.
It's
I
always
was
the
like,
dive bar.
always the dive bar, 10 out of 10. Did the parking suck? Yes. Was it risk your life to go to something like that? Yes. Would you do it again? Absolutely.
Hell yeah, brother.
But anyway, so back to WrestleMania here. So, like you said, it's a 2-day show. I think it's funny because they just put out on the Peacock Network this documentary. Last time WrestleMania was
In
in
Vegas?
Vegas was WrestleMania 9, and it was the first time they had did some like behind the scenes recording. Exposed a
I
little bit.
half watched it Monday night, like it was on. I didn't give it my full attention,
Mm-hmm.
but just because it was a WrestleMania 9, I believe that was the same year I was born.
93?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the greatest card. Too
Well,
much
see,
Hogan.
that was the thing with the card. Like growing up, I was a huge WCW fan. Like we didn't get WWF. We got it for a little bit, and then it went away. Superstars was carried on our local Fox affiliate when I was way, way, way young. Then it went away, and it went away for the longest time until I want to say 96, 97. WWF started doing like a rerun show on WGN. And I think it's called like Livewire.
I remember Livewire.
So I watched that for a little bit, and then when it went away, we didn't get it until after WrestleMania 14 when the local cable company back home started carrying USA. So that block of, 86 to 98, minus a few like rental tapes, or your friends had a tape that they taped off pay-per-view and you borrowed it, didn't really get to see that much WWF. I guess our cable company was big. We had WCW Saturday Night on TBS. We had Nitro. So that was what we watched. And that was our main source of wrestling. And then, like I said, once we got it full-time in 98 with the USA Network being on there, kind of got more into it. But otherwise, like, I didn't know the stories and like a lot of the characters and stuff like that. So going back and, watching that documentary and them talking about Bret Hart's rise and how upset they were. It wasn't until I watched one of those, what was it, Dark Side of the Ring shows, they were talking about Savage and like how much heat him and Hogan had. So
Yeah, Hogan sucks. I don't know what else to say about Hogan. He just sucks.
Hogan's an anomaly to say the least. Growing up, like I was never a big Hogan fan. Of course, like I said, being WCW, and even as a WCW guy, like I was never a big good guy fan. Like my all-time favorite was Big Van Vader.
Yeah, Vader was
Like
by the time I was like old enough to really start watching, getting into it, Vader was, he might have
past his
still been
prime.
in WWF, but he wasn't like a big player by any
Yeah,
means.
yeah. I was going to say, like I think he has tenure in it in like '98 in WWF, and I think he tried to go back to Japan before it was strictly like conventions and one-off shows and indies. That's how I ended up getting a meeting was at an indie in Union City, Tennessee.
It's pretty local, right?
What? It's 2 hours from you, I think,
Yeah, so I didn't think it was like super far.
because it's like what 35 minutes past Dyersburg.
Sounds about right.
So, anyways, so I didn't really know much about Hogan until he came in to WCW, short of like, you know, oh hey, you're a wrestling fan. Here's a Hulk Hogan T-shirt they sold at Walmart. Or oh hey, the dollar store has this Hulk Hogan poster here. But
I
even when
very
he came
vividly
in,
remember having a Hulk Hogan and Bugs Bunny T-shirt in like kindergarten.
yeah, WCW those marketing days. But see, that was the thing about even when Hogan came in to WCW, he feuded with like he went in, he feuded with Ric Flair, he feuded with Vader, then he feuded with Sting, and it's like whoa, 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 these are like three of my favorites here. Like I can't be a Hogan fan. He's wanting to fight all the people that I like. Why are these idiots cheering for him?
Yeah.
So then when he did the whole NWO thing, it was like, huh, like he's different now. I see all these other people just like in shock and all that he turned, but just don't do that much for me.
I
And
remember
then
like wanting to get psyched over Hulk Hogan, like when he turned face. I guess that would have been like 99 ish. But I don't know. I was just never like a super fan.
see, if I remember right, I think I didn't care for Hogan then because when he was turning face, that meant that he was getting ready to feud with like Jeff Jarrett. Another favorite of mine.
So even as like a 6, 7 year old, I was a Jarrett fan. Even though at that age, that's not who I was supposed to be cheering for. There's just
Here's
something
the
about
thing.
Jarrett that I was always drew me in.
Here's the thing. I don't think people understand like how big of a road Jarrett has had and everything, and also just like how good of a heel he is, or he was, or however you want to look at it.
It's super underrated.
Yeah, as a young, fan, like he does what he's supposed to. You're supposed to hate him, and then as you get older, you're like, I get it.
I know people shit. I think a lot of people shit on him because of he was the guy in TNA for such a long time, but he was also like one of the only guys there that was guaranteed to be there every week. So why would you
Right.
not keep the title on him?
And see, that's the thing I always think it's funny. Like, you look at indie wrestling and you always hear them say, oh, well, the booker or the owner, they got the belt on him. They always got the belt on him. Like, that's why when they put the belt on somebody else, and it's like, well, you got to realize, one, like you said, he's always there. And two, if he's got the belt and he's on every card, that's one less, as we call it in the business, PO or payout that you have to pay. So it's like, I don't think people truly understand that. The only time I think I ever really got upset with what decision that Jeff Jarrett made was right when they were getting ready to go on Spike TV. And Raven had the NWA belt. And they took the belt off Raven and put it on Jarrett for the TV deal.
I remember that.
Now, hindsight, like, having my hand in the business, like, I get it now. it makes 110% 110% reasoning in my head as to why they did it. But at that time, Raven was another one of my favorites. Top 5 favorites of all time. And I was like, oh man, they're going to get the TV deal. Now Raven's going to go in as the champ. And now it's like, oh, they took the belt off of Raven. Then they put it on Jarrett.
See, I remember being psyched. I think it was the same time period when Rhino won the belt from Jarrett.
Oh, yeah.
And I was super excited for that. And then Jarrett won it back like 2 days later. That's what pissed me off. But
I don't know. I still think the worst was it King of the Ring 98 when Kane won the belt in the main event. And the next night he lost it back to Austin.
Yeah.
I was just like, what was the point of that? Like,
so it always blew my mind that Kane only had the belt for one day. That was his only run with it. Just because
didn't he?
He won the World Heavyweight Championship in like 2010, I believe it was. I know it was during a time I wasn't really watching. He was on SmackDown. I never watched SmackDown. I know him and Taker feuded it over for a bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember he had the belt because that's why I took it with me when I met him to get it signed. But
he's also a former ECW champion.
Yes. And you know who the greatest ECW champion of all time is?
The Big Show.
No. CM Punk.
Nah. That's when the ECW championship officially became a forever mid-card title.
I thought you would know where I was going with that one. I was setting you up for it.
To be honest with you, I forgot that Punk had held the ECW championship.
The only reason I really remember it is because if you remember one of those AEW promos he did when they were in I guess it had to be Philly he was in, where they had like the ECW guys come out there, and he made the remark was like, I was an ECW champion.
I have no recollection of that.
Really? I'll have to find that and send it to you. When I think about that, it makes me laugh. But yeah. But I guess bringing it back here, it just makes sense to put the belt on Jarrett. But as far as Hogan goes, Hogan said a lot of stupid things.
That's one way of putting it.
Hogan said a lot of stupid things. Hogan tried to redeem himself. He failed miserably. Hogan then started coming up with these wild and crazy stories. And even if you finish watching that I don't know how far you got in that documentary.
I watched the whole thing. Watched the whole thing.
I was going to say, you got to the part where he made up the story about, or they all colluded the story of him getting hit in the face with the jet ski.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, no, I think Randy Savage just like punched him.
Yeah, I feel like his eye would have been a whole lot worse shape if he actually got hit in the face with a jet ski. He wouldn't have been at WrestleMania the next day.
Yeah, he would have been like face reconstructive surgery, especially if a 700-pound jet ski hit you in the face. But anyways, like I said, he said, and I think that's where some people get kind of torn. It's like, for a lack of a better term, like, how do you separate the art from the artist? Because Hogan launched that new beer, and with him launching that Real American beer, he he's been doing these meet and greets and stuff like that, and they're always packed.
I would be lying if I told you I haven't inquired about a Hulk Hogan meet and greet. I'm not doing it. The expectations for what they wanted me to do is just too much.
Just show up and you're like, I'm not too much, can't do it.
No, they wanted me to buy 400 cases of Real American beer. And I'm not doing that. That's 4 pallets.
You don't think it would move?
I know it won't move. We've had Real American for a year now, and I'm sure him being in would move more, but it wouldn't move 400K. That's 800 12
Well, here's the
packs.
thing. See, I would question that, and I would have took the deal. Just for the fact of, like, I've worked enough meet and greets in my life that, one, I know when Hogan does those meet and greets, he'll only sign the Real American beer. And apparently you have to buy the Real American beer in order to get into the meet and greet, or to get to the meet and greet to, meet him, get your picture, and get it signed. So I easily think that a $15, 12, I don't know how much it is, $12, $15 at the most for a 12 pack, probably.
I know they were supposed to decrease the price on it. I don't know if it ever went through.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna
doubt
look and see what we have it for right now.
I was going to say, I really doubt that they would lower it if he comes in for a meet and greet, they wouldn't lower it. But I mean,
$12.99
even
for
at
a
20
12
bucks a
pack.
head. You said $12.99?
Yeah. So the price has lowered because it was around 15, I believe.
So okay, let's just keep it at 15. And I mean, you're talking 400 cases. So I mean, that's 400 meet and greets. Well, no, cases 12 packs, right?
Yeah.
So 800. So I think you could easily do an $800 or 800 person meet and greet with Hulk Hogan at $15 a head.
It might be something I revisit. I feel like I'd have to throw some morals to the side to actually be okay with me promoting a Hulk Hogan meet and greet. But it wouldn't be the first time I've thrown my morals to the side. So
Here's the thing, and I hate to say it this way because I can't think of a better way currently to say it, but I think a lot of people throw their morals to the side without even knowing it when with some of the people that they support. Because a lot of people, especially in the wrestling business, a lot of people know a lot of things about your favorite talent that, it's very questionable.
yeah, here
And
you
a
are
lot of
still
times
being a CM Punk fan.
Do what?
Said here you are still being a CM Punk fan.
I know, right? Shame
A
on me.
50-year-old with daddy issues.
I mean, hey, he makes money. He pays the bills. He's doing better than the two of us are.
I bought his house.
Yeah. He probably looked at it and be like, I'll pay you just to get rid of it. But anyways, that's the thing, though. Like I said, like, and that's a whole conversation for another day. When you start getting into morals and what people know versus what people don't know, and then like, it's not your story to tell for people about people. But anyways, Hogan. As far as Hogan goes, everybody hates Hogan. It seems like, according to the internet. But all these meet and greets are sold out, or like they reach capacity. They're booked nonstop. Anytime Hogan does a meet and greet at one of his beach shops, well, it starts out at like $200 a person.
I think that's right.
It's like $200 a photo or $200 an autograph.
I know when I was visiting family in Tampa, he was doing one while I was down there, and I looked into it, but I'm not going to pay $200 to meet anybody. So
yeah. Well, see, and that's the thing. Like, those sell out. And this kind of circles back to what we were talking about earlier with it being WrestleMania weekend. I heard a clip from an interview with Triple H. And he's talking about, like, the people on the internet and how they're upset with things. And it's like, okay, well, you say we did this wrong, or this person isn't good enough, or this person isn't over, or this person is dead to the crowd. And they're selling all this merch, and they're selling out the arenas each night. So where exactly are these people that...
I do believe I'm on his side with a lot of that the IWC is just a very vocal minority.
Dude, that's why I left all the wrestling chat or wrestling Facebook groups.
Because like you can get on Reddit and everybody's just like shitting all over Jey Uso, but then you watch the show and he comes out and everybody's eating.
So I'll tell a personal story about this. I guess I can tell all the personal stories. It's my podcast. So. Are you familiar with the guy by the name of the Necro Butcher?
Yes.
So we had the opportunity to bring Necro Butcher into Anna for Anna Fight Underground. And As soon as the internet caught wind of it, the internet was not very happy about it. And you're like, oh, we need to boycott the show. We can't support this. Don't support that. No one go support it or anything like that. So it's like, okay.
Then it was people not even like in the radius of Anna, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. There was some from like Metropolis, St. Louis, all that. And anyways, it's kind of a concern. It's like, okay, what are we getting ourselves into here with this? But we've got him booked. We don't all necessarily agree with his, political statements and stuff like that. And, that's fine. It's America. And I think people forget this. That you're going to deal in, like, you can't hide from people that you have different beliefs in.
No, the world is not your safe space.
Right. So anyways, so it's like, okay, so what kind, how bad is this going to hurt our draw? We brought Necro and we had one of the biggest houses we've ever had at Anna. There wasn't one person protesting meeting Necro, or Necro being there. It wasn't one person, upset that he came out and talked to the fans. The only people that were upset were the people on the internet. And it's funny to me now that, we've gone past this a few years. And it's like, okay, well, I guess the Necro heat has kind of calmed down because now I'm seeing the same people that were complaining about us bringing Necro to Anna. At other shows, they're out there meeting and greeting with Necro and getting a picture with, oh, it's the Necro Butcher. His match with Samoa Joe was so great. And putting over how great it was and stuff like that. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Y'all were the same one just a couple of years ago that was hating on him.
Nobody stays canceled forever.
That's true. Well, and that's the same thing with Drake Younger. That was one of the talks when he got canceled, or when he got let go from WWE, and he was getting all that cancel stuff because of the politics. And it was like, we couldn't get the same deal that we had with Necro for Drake. So it was definitely, as far as like a company investment, the company was going to have to put significantly more in. But at the same time, it's like, we're all big deathmatch guys. So it's like, I know you don't follow that much with deathmatch wrestling.
I do not, no.
But Drake Younger was like one of the elite legends of deathmatch wrestling. And when he got let go from WWE, when he was a ref, he started going back to do death matches, and it's like, that would be really cool to have him, but it's going to be a big investment, and it's going to be, a lot of risk to put that in, and how much headache that we're going to have, because that was the thing. It was like, there was Necro heat cancellation, but Drake's was on a whole nother level. And I mean, still to this day, Drake has, there's people out there that want to cancel Drake. Since then, I've had a chance to talk to Drake many a times. Kind of get where he's at.
I've seen you a social media shout out before.
Yeah, I mean, if you go watch the last RPW 7 show from Chicago, like he walks up and he gives me a hug, like at ringside. So, I mean, and that's the thing is, it's like, I've talked to Drake time and time again. Drake's a good dude. He's a little misguided in his beliefs.
And as somebody who doesn't follow as closely, that's how I've always felt about him. Is like, he doesn't come off as a bad guy, just maybe misinformed or.
And see, and that's the thing, and that's the problem with social media in general. Drake went out and apologized. Drake said, "Hey, I came out a little hot after all this. It was a certain time with the pandemic and all that. A lot of feelings out there. I've learned the errors in my way. I want to do better. I want to make amends." And people were like, "Hey, that's cool." But then there was that same internet wrestling community, the IWC, as you called it, that's like, "No, we don't accept it." And it's like,
and they never accept it. The goalpost always moves.
Yeah, and the people, and it's just like, you're missing out. You're missing out on a great, we're humans. We don't live forever.
No.
And if you get a chance, personally, I never got to see Bruiser Brody wrestle in person. I never got to see Bam Bam Bigelow wrestle in person. Those are two people I would love to see wrestle, but I never got the chance to. Now, at that same token, this generation out there now, this generation coming up, they can go back, they can see the old tapes of Drake. And it's like, oh, wow, this guy, he did this. He's an innovator, he's a legend. But if I listen to what the internet says, I can't support him, but I can still have the chance to go see him. And it's like, okay, now, are you really do you want to lose an opportunity because the internet told you not to? And it's like, okay, well, if the internet is so strong in this, and it's like, how is this guy still getting booked? How does everyone that's not part of that little IWC community still support him? Like, anytime I've been to the show that Drake's been on, he's had one of the longest merch lines. Hey, there's nobody really in the crowd that's there like heckling him or saying all this bad stuff to them in his face. And that's kind of what I wanted to see. I wanted to see one of these people that get on the line and get on the internet and talk bad about Drake and talk bad about Necro. I want to see them like go to a show and confront him.
They don't leave the house.
That would be like with me and you, for example. You and I can banter back and forth on here and in a group chat and stuff like that. And, it's no big thing. But if it ever got to a point where it's like, you and I were like real life heat problems, I would know. And someone was like, well, no one would have to tell me. I know, where to find you at. Like, it's not that hard. It's like, okay, well, if you got all these problems and you got something to say, we don't need to do it behind a keyboard or computer screen.
We're too
we can
grown,
link
man.
up and settle this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's what I don't get with these people. It's like, all right, so you hate Drake, you hate Necro. They're advertised to be at all these places. Go say something to them. Go confront them. But that's what I don't get. Is like, people want to complain on the internet, but they don't want to do anything about it. And it's like, when you talk to these people, I don't know what that means. Did you? I don't know, some weird thing just popped on the screen. Probably the federal government. Anyway, so like when you see all these people and you talk to them and they're so nice and you can have like a real life human conversation with these people and you see that, yeah, they may have a little bit of a different opinion than what you have. But that's the thing. It's just like, if you want people to see your side of things, talk to them like a human. Talk to them one-on-one. Show them your point. Show them what, you show them why things need to change, why their views should change. Like, and you're not going to do that on the internet, calling people stupid and stuff like that, and all these other names. And it's just not productive. It's like, we as a society need to become more productive, more unified, and work together. And it's like, we don't do that.
Not everybody has to be right all the time, and if you don't 100% agree with them, then you're wrong, and they want nothing to do with you. They don't want to try to find any resolution unless you're just going to kiss their ass.
Right. And, I kind of want to do an episode one of these days and hear about politics. And,
Be a spicy one.
Where the problem really lies, and how to actually fix it. Maybe this podcast will be my start to a political run for President of America.
So if we go with my opinion on how to fix it, the FBI is definitely shutting this one down. So,
well, if they're listening to that,
I've already said too much by saying that.
I was gonna say that's not them knocking at the door if they're listening. So, but anyways. So I guess getting back to where it is, Hogan, yeah. People don't like Hogan. I guess that's where it comes down to. People that don't like Hogan. But people out there still want to pay a god-awful amount to meet him. And I guess at the end of the day, it's just whatever makes you happy. Like,
yeah.
That is what it is, I guess.
You want to run down this WrestleMania card?
No, I want to keep going about my thoughts on politics here. And by the way, I just want to put this in here. If some of y'all did turn it off or turn off the podcast and y'all don't finish it and y'all have to go back and listen to it, or y'all just keep going, I just want it to be known that no, I'm not a Hulk Hogan fan. I'm not a supporter of Hulk Hogan. You know, he said stupid things.
I was not Hulk Hogan for Halloween in 2016.
Was you really?
There's no proof of that on social media anymore.
I don't know. We'll ask the FBI. But anyways, no, I'm not a Hogan guy. I'm not a Hogan supporter. Like, if that's what makes you happy and you want to support him, then do what you do. Like, the world's not going to end whether you support him or not. And homie, I'm sure, has got enough money and enough people out there that are willing to support him that if you do or you don't, it's not going to make him any difference. So, with that being said, and bringing it back to WrestleMania here, wasn't they doing a thing where it's like 10 grand and you got like a suite with Hulk Hogan?
I think, yeah, I believe it was around that price range.
I don't know how these matches actually break down from night 1 to night 2. But starting at the bottom.
Say they should be, I think they're separated on Wiki.
Oh, that's too much work for me. I don't know like half these people anyways.
Same.
What do we got first? Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Bayley and Lyra
Valkyria, I believe, is.
Now that's not the lady that's married to John Morrison, right?
No, that's she's in AEW. I know that.
Okay, because I was about to say, I was like, that's kind of odd.
And I don't know why her name is escaping me right now. She was just teaming with Deonna Purrazzo. I don't know if they're still together. Ty Valkyrie is who we're thinking of.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, as you can tell here, we're not too up and up on the current. This is where Farmer was supposed to come in and help us at, but, you know, busy man Farmer here. Maybe he can, on the next show, he can recap it and explain it all to us where we got this all wrong. Who do you got any thoughts, picks on this match?
On this particular match, no, I'm just going to go with the team of Liv and Raquel because Liv, so.
Oh, yeah.
Live, laugh, love.
She's a smoke show.
Facts.
So glad I got to meet her in Indy.
Hoping I can use my Wheatley vodka rep to maybe get us some meet and greet in St. Louis.
Nice.
I'm gonna talk with him about that tomorrow. Actually, see if he knows of anything in the pipeline or.
I want to say when I went to the one in Indy, they I want to say they didn't announce it till like the week before or the week of.
Yeah, I want to say like even the WrestleMania ones that Wheatley are promoting, they've just been announcing them this week.
Because I think the cricket one was like a week before. A week before it actually happened, they announced it. And then I think the Wheatley one was literally like 2 or 3 days before. Because it was a Saturday, and I think they announced it on like a Wednesday. World Tag Team Champions, the War Raiders versus the New Day.
That's a Monday Night Raw main event if I've ever seen one.
I mean, I guess I'm going to have to go with War Raiders on this just because I remember on Ring of Honor, and I don't know what their names are now in WWE, but I remember the ball-headed one, Ray Rowe. Like, we were at Collinsville, the Gateway Center, and I walked past him. He was coming out of the bathroom, and I was going to the bathroom, and I said hi, and he said hi. And that was about it.
That's how I met Jarrett Reddick from Bowling for Soup for the first time in a bathroom in Springfield, Missouri.
Oh, nice.
And then we walked back up to the actual concert venue together with his one security guy.
I wouldn't expect him to have a security guard.
It was just a guy that was working at the club.
Okay. That reminds me. Did you ever go to Food Bar?
I did not. No,
Do you know where Food Bar is?
I do not.
Okay, so Food Bar is kind of in the hood of St. Louis, or one of the many hoods of St. Louis. Like, it's not in a good spot. It's on Locust Street. So you know where Shavitz is?
Yeah.
So you know you don't go too far down or what is it, Compton, that runs in front of Shavitz, or you end up in a not nice area.
Yeah.
Well, that not nice area is where Food Bar is. It's like it's like, what is it, across the corner from where Red Flag is now.
Okay. So yeah, I know that. I know the area.
So we saw Fozzy play there, Chris Jericho's band. And it was so funny. Like, Chris Jericho had to have a security guy walk him inside the venue. So way Food Bar was, it was kind of like one way in, one way out. And Jericho had to have the guy walk him in. And the dude was probably like 5-0 that walked him in. And we're all just standing outside talking to, who was it? Because it was Fozzy King and Son of Texas. And I want to say we were out there. I think we were out there talking to Sons of Texas before Fozzy started. And seeing Jericho walk in with this little 5-foot dude trying to be his security guard still makes me laugh to this day. But next one up, Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in a Sin City Street Fight.
That should be a good one.
I mean, I like Damian Priest.
I'm a fan of both guys. I would like to see Priest get the win. I wouldn't be upset if McIntyre won.
Do you know why they're feuding?
No. That I don't know most of the storylines going on here, if I'm being 100% honest with you.
Now, this one I saw something about. That's Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Huge Jade Cargill fan. I got the chance to meet her at AEW before the first Rampage they did there. And it was funny to me, like, there was nobody there to meet her. Everyone else was there to meet either Eddie Kingston or the Acclaimed. And now, look at Jade Cargill. So I guess the way I understand this, kind of what I was glancing over before the show, did somebody hit somebody? I guess somebody hit somebody with a car?
Yeah, I think Naomi attacked Jade Cargill, and then it was kind of like a whodunit thing for 3 or 4 months while Jade was out. I don't think she was actually injured. All the internet journalists could never decide if she was or not. She was just off TV for a while, and then it was later she returned at the Rumble, I believe, and then Naomi revealed herself as the attacker at Elimination Chamber.
I mean, I got to go with Jade Cargill on this just because that's my girl.
Yeah, I can't see them having Jade lose yet. I feel like they've kind of floundered with Jade a little bit. But maybe this is the start of a run for her.
I'll agree with that. Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano.
I believe that is Chad Gable in a mask.
Why is he wearing a mask? I seen the picture where someone posted, like, I guess he has like a high back tattoo, like right below his neck, and it's the same.
I know
one
there's a belief that there's like 2 El Grande Americanos, and it might not actually be Chad when the mask gets pulled off at WrestleMania or whatever. But
why? I don't guess I get it.
I know he's very vaguely. I know that he's had a luchador thing where he just can't beat luchadors. I know he was Pence's debut match, and
so I guess we're kind of agreeing it's going to be Rey Mysterio.
That's what I would think.
Yeah. Next up, United States Championship match: LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu.
Give me Jacob Fatu in a squash.
Dude, Jacob Fatu all day, every day.
I know I'm in the minority here. I just can't get into LA Knight.
So I think that, and I think you run into this a lot with people, if they spend too much time on the indies before they get somewhere big. So I get how popular LA Knight has gotten.
Side note, Josh Alexander just debuted on AEW.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's the wild card.
Against Hangman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think moving forward we should probably focus our shows more on AEW. Seems like we know more about that than we do WWE.
So I just happened to look over and see making his entrance.
That lets me know what you've been looking at this entire time, because I keep thinking like something's about to fall or somebody's trying to break in. Time you turn your head and I'm like, what is he looking at? But anyway, so yeah, Eli Drake, NWA, TNA, I can't get past that. So plus, like I said, Jacob Fatu, Journey Fatu, those two, Zilla Fatu. I can't wait for Journey and Zilla to show up in WWE.
I'm not as familiar with which I'm not even super familiar with Jacob, but I think he's got future world champion written all over him.
Oh yeah, beast all around. Speaking of that, you talk about somebody that I think they dropped the ball on. Just a side note of this, and that was the Gorillas of Destiny.
Yeah.
I remember when they were in New Japan during that big Bullet Club run. I was a huge fan of them, and then I just kind of fell out, fell out.
Are they even still around? That's how little I follow, I guess. But
I think one of them was with Solo Sokoa.
I don't know why you just wouldn't put those two together unless there was an injury or something. But
I mean, I don't know, unless they just want the solo run. Next up, Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio.
I am actually excited for this one. I love Braun Breaker. I love Penta. I love Finn. And Dominic, as far as in ring, I still haven't seen enough to have an opinion there. I love his character. I think the obvious finish here is Dominic pinning Finn to win the championship.
I mean, that kind of makes sense.
That just, in the little bits and pieces I've seen, that just seems like where it's headed.
Yeah, I definitely think that that may be the move. I mean, I really like Penta. Especially from Lucha Underground.
I need to go back and watch the Lucha Underground stuff. I think I've seen the pilot episode with Mysterio and Ricochet, and that's like my only Lucha Underground.
So the big thing that I watched with it, and it was probably the only time I watched it, was when they did anything with Penta versus Vampiro. The big Vampiro fan. Next up, AJ Styles versus Logan Paul.
I would prefer to not see Logan Paul anymore, but I don't think he's a bad in-ring worker. He's one of those. Circling back to our conversation earlier. I just not a fan for personal reasons. And
here's the thing. People talk about Logan Paul and how great he does and stuff like that. I think you got to realize though, if he only has a match like once every 4 months, and he can get out there and practice,
rehearsed.
Yeah, it's. Now, one thing I did hear about this is that I think it was listening to Jeff Jarrett's podcast. I think it was, if I remember right. It was either him or Bradshaw's podcast. And anyways, they were talking about it, and they brought up a good point. The whole level of comedians and stuff that's supposed to, it's going to be their WrestleMania weekend. They're doing the roast and stuff like that. If they were going to have a match where they could get that kind of rub, that non-wrestling character recognition, like outside of, like TMZ and stuff like that, this would probably be the match to do it.
Yeah, most likely. Unless they're going to pull a Elimination Chamber and just have Travis Scott and then the whole Kill Tony crew in there beating the shit out of Cody Rhodes.
Man. I don't know. I know a lot of people hate it, but I love Kill Tony.
I'm not overly familiar with it. I've seen clips on TikTok. I've never watched like a full episode or anything.
See, that's the other thing. We're going back to what we were talking about earlier real quick, talking about canceling and people being upset and saying these things aren't good and stuff like that. A lot of people hate Kill Tony and hate, think how terrible and how, bad it is. But then it turns around and gets a Netflix deal. It's it doesn't make sense. So I don't know. Like, I don't also understand how like there's WWE still uses Logan Paul when he has a TV deal with TBS or TNT or Max.
Yeah, I think it's on Max. I don't know if it's actually airing on like network TV, but yeah, he's got the reality show on Max.
And it's like, isn't that like? Well, I don't understand why AEW would allow it to run commercials during their show. So I don't know, it just seems weird to me. Anyways, I'm a diehard AJ Styles fan. I know the internet's tired of him and don't like him. I don't care. You
I
know, forever AJ Styles.
I could
Dude,
never not root for AJ Styles unless he like slapped my mom or something, and even then I'd have to hear him out. So
like,
just kidding, mom.
I mean, I would pop though, like if he comes out to Evil Ways. That was his like heel TNA thing, by the way.
I got you.
Okay.
I know I've heard it. It's just by name, I don't know it.
Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. This is probably one of the top 3 like talked about matches.
Yeah, not. I don't know Charlotte. I'm over Charlotte. I don't know much about Tiffany. I don't have a strong opinion on the match one way or another. I just hope it's quick.
I mean,
At the risk of sounding very sexist there, I get it. But
I'm just gonna say this: like the promos, like when they go off script or quote unquote go off script, and they reference things that go on the internet. Like, I don't know, it seems kind of corny, but it pops the crowd and it gets people interested in it. Kind of the same way, like I'm indifferent. So if you want to pick one, I'll pick the other.
I'll go Tiffy, but I think Charlotte's going to win it.
Well, look, you can't pick both of them. I mean, I said you pick one and I'll pick the other, and you like,
I will be
oh,
rooting.
well, I picked this one, but this one's going, and it's like, no, dude,
I will be rooting for Tiffy.
All right. So you say it's Tiffy time.
I do.
All right. Heavyweight Championship, Gunther versus Jey Uso.
I want Gunther. I never want him to lose, like ever. I think you got to strike while the iron's hot, and they're going to put it on Jey Uso. It might be a short run, but I just feel like that's a WrestleMania moment there. Is him winning the belt.
See,
but I will be rooting for Gunther, however you say it.
We'll just call him Walter.
Big Van Walter.
So the way I see it, like I think you said about it being a WrestleMania moment. I agree, but I think this could rank up there with the WrestleMania moment of like when Brock beat Undertaker for the streak. I think everybody's going to go into it thinking that Jay's going to win, and then Gunther is going to beat him, and everyone's going to be like, "What?"
Kind of like Sheamus and Daniel Bryan, where everybody thought it was going to be Bryan's big WrestleMania moment, and then Sheamus won in 18 seconds.
I guess I remember that.
It was I want to say it was WrestleMania 29, because then 30 was like where he actually had his big moment.
I may have been checked out by then on it.
It was if I remember correctly, it was the same WrestleMania as Undertaker Punk, Rock Cena 2, I guess it would have been.
Okay. Next up, see some of these we're getting to now, like the last couple of them, like this one to me kind of feels like a filler just because I don't know the story. But it's the Women's World Champion, Io Sky versus Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley.
So from the little bits that I've seen, it's almost like the feud is just between Rhea and Bianca, and Io's just there. But like they're also like working that into the story where she tries to get involved and they just push her out of the way.
I mean, I'm always Team Rhea. Like
yeah, I'm a fan of all three ladies, but I can't ever actively root against Rhea.
Yeah, like I met Bianca. She was an absolute sweetheart in Nashville. So, but yeah, I'm always excited to see Rhea. But otherwise, as far as the match goes, like it's
this year for Halloween, I will be a C4 cam.
Yes, I saw that video. I was afraid you was going to say you was going to dress up as Bianca, and I was like, man.
I just want to have hair, man.
And so we got 3 left on this card. One of them was not mentioned, and that's probably the one I do know about because everyone was debating who was going to be. So Randy Orton versus KO. KO's out. It's supposed to be a mystery opponent. Who do you think it is?
I know the general belief is that it's going to be Nick Aldis, or that's what I know Randy challenged Nick Aldis.
Did he actually challenge him?
That's what I was just reading on Wikipedia. It said on the April 11th episode of SmackDown, he challenged him.
Okay.
But I think we're either going to get Aleister Black or the return of Rusev. I would prefer Aleister Black if it's one of those two.
I mean, so it's kind of hard for me on this one because I really think that Nick Aldis has put in the time there at WWE, and I think if he deserves one moment to show people, where he came from.
I mean, I'm definitely not opposed to it if that's the route they take.
And no, I'm not the biggest Aldis fan. I dealt with him when he came here to CCW. We and him had a little bit of a disagreement on his views of deathmatch wrestling versus mine. So, but otherwise, I mean, he was okay to deal with, and anytime I've dealt with him since then, he was always nice. So it's nothing like that, but he's been doing this non-wrestling role. He literally left a wrestling role to do a non-wrestling role. So I think if he gets this shot, kind of like they did with Nigel at All In,
yeah,
then I think that'll do. I think that's good for him. I think he deserves that. But if it's not him, they had said online, or the rumors they'd said online. You know how that goes. Like you said, Aleister Black and my mind just went blank. Rusev. But then I heard about this whole deal about Jeff Cobb.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume, I believe this weekend is when his contract ends with New Japan. I assume he'll be in Vegas. Everybody is in Vegas for WrestleMania. Every indie worker is. So I mean, it's possible that it could be him. I like Jeff Cobb, former CCW Tag Team Champion Jeff Cobb.
Yep, I got to have Jack in the Box with him in St. Louis. How did he smell? How did he smell?
Yeah. Do you not remember this whole discourse? When Michael Elgin was in his process of getting canceled, and everybody was like, "Oh, well, you have Jeff Cobb there now anyway. That fills your big man role." I guess Elgin got very upset about that and said that Jeff Cobb stunk.
Huh.
And I know Billy has confirmed that he does not stink.
I was going to say, I feel like I remember something like that because, I had him and another person in the car that I'm not going to open up the can of worms on here, bringing that name up. But I picked both of them up from the airport that day. And, yeah, there's no issues or anything like that. Definitely nobody smelled bad or, But yeah, I would hope Jeff Cobb or Aleister. I don't. Here's the thing. Rusev's a cool dude, but I honestly feel like that AEW run hurt him.
Yeah, I would say I was actually a big Rusev / Miro fan, and I don't know, the AEW run just kind of killed him for me.
Mm-hmm.
Just both. I mean, he was definitely subject to some bad booking on the latter half of his time there, but also just his attitude, social media and whatnot, just kind of killed him for me.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, he's always been a nice guy. I met him at we went to Access at WrestleMania New Orleans weekend, and his free photo op was inside the Elimination Chamber.
I met Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona in the Elimination Chamber.
Oh, nice. Even with the full setup, walking on that thing, that outside area of the Elimination Chamber, that was kind of uncomfortable. So I could imagine having to stand on it. So, anyways, we'll see this weekend on the Peacock, who comes out ahead. We got two left. Triple threat, Reigns, Punk, Rollins. honestly, there's no debate in this. It's whoever you have as a favorite. Going into like, I want Punk to win. I'm a huge Punk mark. I don't care what anybody says.
I don't
You
hate
can
Punk
hate.
as much as I would lead you to believe. I typically don't root for him, but like most of the time now, I just play up the hate and to get you riled up.
Literally, the only person in that match I don't care for is Seth Rollins.
I go through phases on Seth Rollins. Same with Roman. Same with Punk. I just go through the motions on all three of them. Just depending on what the booking is at the time, I guess.
Yeah, I'm like I said, definitely indifferent. I'm indifferent on Reigns, and I don't care for Rollins. So yeah, Punk. Who do you got?
Um, I kind of want Rollins just because I feel like the focus is so much on Punk and Reigns that I feel like Rollins sneaking in and getting the win somewhere would be. I don't know. I'd like it. But I'm honestly fine with any three of the guys winning.
Last up, the big one. John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Cena's last WrestleMania. I think I may be the only person that does not care about this match.
It's I'm not as hyped for it now as I was at the end of Elimination Chamber. I feel like there's just been a lot of stalling. From what I've seen, Cena's hill run so far just hasn't lived up to what we expected. I know there's still a lot of time, not a lot of time between now and WrestleMania, but still a lot of time between now and the end of the year to change that. I think he'll retire as a face, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. They gotta get those merchandise sales in. I think a lot of people were hoping for that Thugonomics return.
They did release a bunch of Thugonomics merch today. I did see that.
The football jerseys, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say I saw that and I was like, huh. But yeah, I don't. This does nothing for me.
For me, I'm a huge Cody fan. I want to see Cena get the 17th title and break the record. And I think Cena Orton main event in St. Louis is it's the move in my opinion. Obviously, it doesn't have to be for the championship. I think the championship would elevate it. So yeah, I want to see Cena win this one.
I mean, I would rather see, if I had to choose, I would probably rather see Cody versus Randy at St. Louis.
I mean, that match is definitely going to happen.
I mean, I've been to enough house shows in the back of the day that I've seen Cena and Orton.
Yeah, I remember going to a few of those myself.
So it's like, I will say this though, WrestleMania 41, hot take, overall the card, it's just not there for me.
Yeah, so on paper, it's definitely not the most excited I've been for a WrestleMania. Who knows? Maybe the show itself will blow me out of the water. This is the first time in years that I'm not having a big get together for it or anything. But that also is just victim of falling on Easter weekend.
Right. Going back though to what you were talking about with the New Orleans one and with the documentary, that was one of the other parts I took away from the documentary. Is they're like, we want to make sure that there's the cheapest seat is $25. This was for WrestleMania 9, and like because we want to make sure a family can go to this. And it's like, well, definitely not that now. Even with inflation, it's still no. So I'm just like, but like I said, it comes and it goes every year. But I tell you what I'm looking forward to, and that is the weekend after WrestleMania. That is the big Squared Circle Expo coming up April 25th and April 26th at the Wyndham Indianapolis Hotel West in Indianapolis, Indiana. Our friends at ConventionPresales.com and Black Label Pro, they have a big weekend planned there. They have a big show Friday night featuring former WWE World Champion Jinder Mahal. Special appearances by WWE legend Tony Atlas.
Break your feet.
Right. Hey, you never know. He will be doing a meet and greet all weekend, so you'll be able to talk to Tony Atlas. You'll be able to talk to Jinder Mahal. They're having all different kinds of people. AEW star Billy Starks will be there. Make sure you go to ConventionPresales.com to check out the roster, check out the matches coming up. You'll be able to order your pre-sale meet and greets with some of your favorite legends of the WWE and of pro wrestling. Saturday, Raven, ECW former world champion, WCW, TNA, WWF icon. Raven will be there. Jillian Hall will be there. How do I say? I'm going to butcher this. Melina. I keep almost calling Melinda. Melina is supposed to be there. Missy Hyatt's going to be there. Uh, there's a whole bunch of people that our friends at Black Label Pro and ConventionPresales.com is bringing into Squared Circle Expo on April 25th and April 26th. Like I said, make sure to go to ConventionPresale.com to get your tickets, your meet and greets. There's some pretty cool sponsorship opportunities there to be able to have your business podcast, whatever business venture you have going, advertised on their show, as well as some pretty cool VIP experiences to where you get to walk your favorite wrestler down the ring, pre-show meet and greet, special seats for it. And right now, if you're listening to this, from now until the end of WrestleMania Sunday, if you go to conventionpresale.com, they will have all their stuff is on sale for 20% off. So if you're looking to get some of those pre-sale meet and greets or some of that sponsorship VIP opportunities, go there. As I said, from now till Sunday, Convention Presales with an S.com. Get those, get your pre-sales, and we look forward to seeing everyone at Black Label Pro and ConventionPresales.com Squared Circle Expo 5, April 25th, 26th, Indianapolis, Indiana, at the Wyndham Airport West. I don't know, it's such a tongue-tying. They really need to rename the hotel there. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's, like I said, I guess it's a good time if you have, like, this weekend for WrestleMania, if you have nothing else to do. I mean, I think it definitely helps at the fact that, you know, if you pay your $10 to Peacock, that you get to watch the WrestleMania for free.
Who pays your $10 to Peacock, Lee?
Do what?
So who pays your $10 to Peacock?
I refuse to answer that question. But it's not you.
Are you not on my cock anymore?
No. Someone came through with a commercial-free one.
Sorry for being poor.
That's okay. I'll forgive you. You know, hopefully you can start generating some revenue here and upgrade to the commercial-free version of Peacock. Honestly, I'm surprised you don't just run a VPN on Netflix and watch it.
I've considered it. I need to get my NordVPN sponsor us. I need to get that set up on this laptop. It was on my MacBook. I'm selling my MacBook. So
wait, how do you stream now to your TV? Surely you don't just sit around with a laptop.
I have a smart TV, but when I was running like something off the server, or when I had AEW Plus, the Dynamite, I would have to stream off the laptop.
So you don't have like a Roku or a Fire Stick or Apple TV box?
Nothing hacked.
Well, I mean, you can pre-install, those VPNs on there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have my Nord just on my Apple TV box.
I'm not a techie. I'll get there one day.
That's what's going to be coming up soon, is the Big Lee's World tech class. Have you seen people talk about doing this on the internet? Have you watched a YouTube video and you're like, wow, how do they actually do it? Well, for the low price of whatever it may be, Lee will have a virtual session on how to do these things for you.
I'm enrolled.
So, I don't know, like I said, it's a busy few weeks coming up. I think, even with it being Easter, it's still the more calmer the weekend. Be ready to get this through. Like I said, get to Indy for Squared Circle Expo. It's a fun time. Are you a convention guy?
Not really. But I also just haven't been to a ton to have my mind changed, I guess.
Yeah, if you can really get in there and you can, set up and you do it right. Like it's a fun time. You get to meet a lot of interesting people.
I've been looking at going to the Wrestleverse, I believe is the name of it, Animeverse, Wrestleverse in Kansas City at the end of June. I've already taken the whole week off work for vacation, so like I would just go up there that weekend. I got a friend in Springfield that I would stay with, but I haven't committed to it yet. So
That seems kind of far away.
Kansas
Like
City,
Springfield, yeah.
Springfield, Missouri. It's like 2-hour drive.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say when the last time I went to Kansas City, we went up to St. Louis, over to Columbia, over to Kansas City.
I feel like that's if you're just going straight to KC, that's definitely the route to take.
I was gonna say, it was like
spend
5.5 hours.
Springfield.
I've only been to Springfield like one time in my life.
I like Springfield. According to Reddit, it's a dangerous place. I've never felt in danger in Springfield, but
They say the same thing about Chicago, but that's the way I feel. So I was like, it's not bad.
I mean, every place has its areas, but
Right. It's not the beacon of safety that Cape Girardeau, Missouri is.
oh, good Lord.
Yeah, But no, I think the only time I've been to Springfield is I went to a place called the Riff to see Slaughter to Prevail. And how far is Springfield from Branson?
It's about 30 minutes.
The reason I bring that up for is I've seen that Branson has an amphitheater now. Or I guess they call it Ridgedale, Missouri.
Okay, yeah, I've seen some shows announced there. There's a guy I'm a big fan of that just got announced as the opener for the Post Malone and Jelly Roll show there.
Who's that?
Wyatt Flores.
No, I don't know him.
Definitely wouldn't be your style. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think it'd be your style, but check him out. You might like him.
Hey, the other reason I noticed that is because, when I seen it was a Bass Pro Shop amphitheater. But they just announced that 3 Days Grace Breaking Benjamin tour is coming there.
Takes me back to my high school days.
Yeah, I mean, pretty sure I seen 3 Days Grace and Breaking Benjamin here in Cape. But no, they wanted it was like for a pit ticket and a meet and greet with 3 Days Grace, it was like $600.
I thought you were going to say 60.
Well, if it was 60, I would have jumped on it.
If it was 60, I would have jumped on it. And I say that as somebody who hasn't really cared for a 3 Days Grace release in close to 20 years now.
Well, I mean, they got the singer back.
I did see that. I don't know if they've released music together yet.
They released like one new song with Adam. But actually, I think it's both of them together. Adam and the dude from My Darkest Days.
So I've really started to take a liking to Maddie Mullins in Anberlin. I didn't think I would like that at first, but I like what I've heard so far.
So I only recently found out that dude is because Maddie Mullins is a singer from Memphis Mayfire, right?
Correct.
I was going to say, I seen where someone had said that Maddie was doing vocals, and I was like, that name sounds familiar. I was never a big Memphis Mayfire fan.
I'm not overly familiar with them. I know I've heard them. I have friends that were into them.
And as far as Amberlin goes, like, I know the one song.
Feel Good Drag?
Yes. But I also get Feel Good Drag confused with Cavo's Champagne.
It's an underrated song.
When I saw Cavo at Point Fest years ago, they were not very good.
If it's the state, was that the year? Who headlined that one?
Ooh, I want to say Stained headlined.
I don't know. I had tickets one year. I believe Megadeth was the headliner, and I think Cavo was on that lineup. I ended up not going.
That was the 2-day one. It was back to back because we skipped that one. I can't stand Megadeth. Dave Mustaine's vocals just no. But we went the next day when it was Incubus and Cypress Hill, and the storm came through.
I went to Point Fest 2 years ago. I believe it wasn't Incubus headline that one.
I think the last Point Fest I went to was they had Yellow Wolf there. And Breaking
That was my
Benjamin.
first Point Fest. That was my first
Really?
Point Fest. Yeah.
I was gonna say they headlined. We left during Breaking Benjamin, got back to my buddy's house in Maplewood, turned on the live stream of it, and Breaking Benjamin was still playing.
They had a pretty long set that night.
I was just like like their radio songs are cool from what I remember back in the day, but the newer stuff just doesn't resonate with me.
Their newest one, I don't remember the name of it, and it sounds like every other Breaking Benjamin song you've ever heard. I like it. I know their last album didn't really connect with me, but
I think the last song they put out that I liked was it I Will Not Bow?
yeah, I was still in high school then, and that's been a while.
Now that's a good song by Stain.
I don't guess I know that. I'm not the world's biggest Stained fan. Never have been. Nothing
I
to
forget
do with
about
Aaron
the age.
Lewis.
I forget about the age gap there because I was about to say probably when you were getting into it, Stain was kind of on the back end, and Aaron Lewis's country show was starting by then.
Like I know the hits on Stained, but yeah.
Well, it's
I was
been a
never
while.
a big
Probably
fan
the
of the band
biggest one.
anyway, and then Aaron Lewis has kind of ruined any goodwill he had with me. I was actually a big fan of his country project at first, and he's lost me somewhere along the way.
Yeah, he definitely leans heavy on his political beliefs at those shows.
Also, just the most boring live performer I've ever seen.
I mean, it's so much different his country show is because I've seen his country show at the rodeo, and I've seen it down in Poplar Bluff, and it's so much night and day difference from when I've seen Stained.
I got you. Yeah. See, I've only seen his country show. Saw him at the Show Me Center. He was opening for Brantley Gilbert, or he was like the go-ahead line on the tour, and that's when I was huge on Aaron Lewis. But I was pretty bored during that one. Then I think he was at the rodeo the following summer, and I left 2 or 3 songs into his set.
I don't know. I still need to, dude. I didn't realize like how quick rodeo tickets sell.
Oh, dude, they sell out quickly.
I still need to get my Big X the Plug ticket.
I saw
You got a
Ludacris
connect
there
for
last year.
How
Do
was
I have a connect
Ludacris
for the
live?
rodeo?
Yeah,
I might.
you need to reach out and see about get me that Big X Connect.
I'll see what I can do. Remind me.
Be like, hey, Big Lee needs that Big X Connect. As I mean, when I saw Big X was fun. How was Ludacris though? You were saying.
Ludacris was fun. I was in the process of starting a 3 to 4 day illness that was like kicking in during the set, so I didn't like enjoy it as much as I could have. I think we might have talked about it off air last week. It was the same weekend that Blink-182 was supposed to be, and I was actually happy by the time the Blink concert would have rolled around that it got canceled because I was so sick that night. And like I'm not one that typically gets sick. It was very weird.
Because I was going to say those rap shows are always on Friday nights, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because I remember the Blink show was on a Saturday. It was Saturday.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you definitely got lucky. You know, even though it took forever for the refunds.
Yeah.
You talking about getting Blink tickets like that, man. I looked at getting that Ice Cube ticket today on the pre-sale, and they wanted almost $1,200 for a pit ticket. Not even a pit ticket, like a seat ticket, and a meet and greet with Ice Cube. And I was like, you got to be kidding me.
No, I'm not paying $1,200 for anything.
Right. I mean,
or as far as like a ticket for anything. I'm like, obviously, unfortunately, there's things I have to pay $1,200 for, but
right. But I was just like, dude ain't put out a good album in years. How's he drawing like $1,200 a ticket?
And
it's at the United Center.
Ticket prices post-COVID have just gotten outrageous, and as long as people keep going, they'll keep charging them.
Dude, man, that's what I love about these dive bar shows, these beat down hardcore shows. Like, you know, if it's more than like $20 a ticket, it better be somebody great. I think that Pain of Truth show I went to at Growlers in Memphis, I think it was $25, but one of the bands was from the UK. So I was like, that, you know, it's justifiable. But I
miss the days of paying $25 for even like big name shows and not having like the worst seat in the place.
Well, hey, I mean, you know, expand that music horizon of yours, and you could be able to, you know, go to like the Sinkhole in St. Louis and see a show for like $15. You ever been to the Sinkhole?
Never even heard of it. So
it's kind of down the street off Broadway, and like Like it's like 100 cap room. I think it's 100 cap, they said, with no stage. I went to like a Christmas fundraiser show for like Toys for Tots, like the local hardcore scene uh, booked. And their headliner, this was right before they blew up, it was Kublai Khan.
Oh, nice.
It was Kublai Khan and Left Behind. And it was violent. Like, I'll never forget the band that opened for Kublai Khan Left Behind. Their singer is like, kind of like Big Chief, if I remember right. And he every bit of like 6'8", probably like 400 pounds. And someone had brought in, because there was no stage, they brought in like a mini trampoline so people could like pseudo stage dive or whatever. And when he got up there, he picked up that mini trampoline and he tossed it like a frisbee, like to try to throw it out the door. And like I said, this is a tiny, tiny, tiny space, and he chunks that, everyone just starts like ducking. You're like, whoa. So, I mean, see, and that's the thing also, like a lot of it, you talk about concert prices, like if it could be justified another way, like if something comes to Cape, I don't mind to open the pocketbook for a few more dollars if it's coming to Cape, because I ain't got to travel for it.
Yeah, there's definitely a convenience factor there. I couldn't tell you the last time something I've wanted to see has came to Cape.
I saw Godsmack, and I think that was the last like non-local band I saw here. And God, that was what, 2018, 2019?
Yeah, I know it was pre-pandemic. I didn't go, but I remember it
didn't
being
sell
in town.
Worth anything. Like, I bought a cheap nosebleed seat, and I was able to walk down to the pit.
When TNA came the first time, we bought cheaper tickets and ended up sitting second row floor. So
was that the 08 show, or was that like the 2014?
That was the 08 show. I didn't go to the 2014 one where that was literally an LOL TNA moment.
Yeah, so bad. So bad, yeah. For those that are listening, it's not out of the Missouri area, you got to have a lot of licensed blood work physical. We talked about this last episode about running Cape versus East Cape. Well, TNA came here and they didn't have that. So they literally had like 6 guys that were licensed. So they did like 3 matches, and then they I'll never forget, like if you had like front row or second row, those 2 got to go in ring and get a photo with Jeff Hardy. And if you didn't, you got to go backstage and meet everybody else. And I was just like, well, I guess that's one way to make your money back.
Yeah,
make sure nobody asks for a refund.
I remember seeing that on Facebook. Like, I knew somebody that was there, and I saw him, like pictures backstage and stuff. And I was like, damn, I wish I would have went now. But yeah, I was pretty far out of TNA at that point, and
yeah, I mean, I think for us, it's just one of those things. It's like it came here, so it was like, and contrary to what people think, like I only listen to like death metal, beat down, hardcore, gangster rap. Like there are a lot of stuff I'll check out if it comes close here. Like I got to see Here Come the Mummies play at the Show Me Center. That was fun. Like,
so I know the name. I've definitely seen them. They come local, or they used to come local. I don't know if they still do. I couldn't tell you the style of music they play or anything like that.
They're like a jazz funk rock style band.
Huh. And they all something I would probably actually like, just based off that description.
It was super fun. Like you get a chance to look them up online. But yeah, it was a super fun deal, and it didn't sell worth anything. But I think it's one of those things that's like they booked the Show Me Center for like a band that people either knew from random Bob and Tom clips off of YouTube or just word of mouth.
I don't even think ZZ Top sold that well last weekend, which I get, they're not, it's ZZ Top in 2025, but
yeah, I mean, I forgot it was happening until somebody reached out to me and reminded me. Actually, to be honest with you, it was my mom. She reached out to me. Hi, Mom. She reached out to me and she was like, hey, are you going to ZZ Top tonight? I was like, I don't even remember it happening. Or it was going to happen. So then I reached out to what I thought was my Show Me Center Connect. I was like, you get me free tickets? And they're like, no. I was like, well, I'm not going then. So, I mean, if they come back through, I probably still won't go. Yeah, that's the other thing. Go ahead.
like I said, they just that definitely does not appeal to me at this point in time. Which like ZZ Top's, I like a lot of classic rock. ZZ Top's one that I like maybe 2 or 3 songs by.
Yeah, I just that made me think. I was like, that's the other. Like they opened this Scout Hall. I wish they would bring stuff to Scout Hall that like would actually is like known or like something that's not some weird like flute jazz thing.
Yeah, Scout. I love the idea of Scout Hall. And they've had people there that I've heard of, and like I know there's a band that's played there a couple times. It's actually playing at Point Fest this year. Post Sex Nachos is the name of them. Great band name. But yeah,
Not to be confused with Weekend Nachos. Which if Weekend Nachos played Scout Hall, I'd be the first in line.
I'm not familiar with that one.
They're a Chicago hardcore band.
But yeah, the only show I've been to at Scout Hall was it was a local band, Old Cape Road, like a Thanksgiving Eve party.
Yeah, I've never heard of them.
They're great. If you like '90s country, it's the show for you.
Yeah, don't sound like the show for me then.
Yeah.
But with that being said, speaking of shows, I appreciate everybody listening to this episode. You know, I know the WrestleMania part went a little bit longer than it probably should have, considering it's a 2-day show, and neither one of us two clowns know that much about WWE, which we're going to have to apparently learn if we got tickets to go see the next pay-per-view after this. So, you know, we'll try to do better at that. Like I said, the big thing is it's just that once we know WrestleMania is over, the big show of 2025, especially spring of 2025, is that Black Label Pro Wrestling Show at Squared Circle Expo in Indianapolis at the Indianapolis West Hotel, Wyndham, April 25th and April 26th. Like I said, 20% off right now until Sunday. Get those pre-sales at conventionpresales.com. Thanks to everybody for listening. Tom Rowe, as always, it's a pleasure. Where can everybody find you at?
Only on Instagram at Tom Rowe, T0MROE.
How come you don't plug your TikTok?
Because I don't post on TikTok. My TikTok account's actually private. Maybe one day I'll do something with it after we see what happens with TikTok. But right now it's just a dead account.
Are they trying to get rid of it again?
They were supposed to have a buyer by last week, and then it got extended again. It's just one of several shit shows.
Bought it.
That was a theory at the time, but nothing's confirmed yet.
Oh well. I doubt it'll go away.
Yeah,
they're probably all tied into the government as well.
100%. That's another episode for another time.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be an episode to where like we'll probably put that disclaimer out. It's like, you know, you may get your feelings hurt listening to this. But anyways, like I said, thanks everybody for listening. My name is Big Lee of Big Lee's World. You can find me at Big Lee's World on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, anything and everything. BigLee'sWorld.com. You go there to pick up your merch. Check out past episodes of the podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, post, share, comment. Let us know your thoughts, what we need to talk about, what you want to see coming up or hear coming up. I don't see us doing video episodes because we're too ugly for that.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, I'm speaking for both of us.
Oh, shit.
You know, I look at these two camera screens as we're recording here, and I get confused which ugly bald guy is me.
I'm the one with the shitty beard.
Ah, there you go. I haven't shaved in a couple of days, so mine's getting there. So, like I said, go check that out. Comment, let us know what you'd like to hear. We're working on our first guest coming up pretty soon. I'm pretty excited for that. We've got a couple in the works. I know one that Tommy's really excited about. But what Tommy doesn't know is when it happens, when he get the guest that he's hoping that we can lock in, I'm not going to tell Tommy that we've got him locked in. It's going to be a surprise.
I love it.
And when I say it's going to be a surprise, I mean, we're going to start the podcast, we're going to ramble a little bit, and then I'm magically going to invite that person into the middle of the podcast and let them catch Tommy off guard. just so I can see Tommy's reaction.
I'm all in.
Because I'm that mean of a person. Tommy's like, I don't care. Yeah.
I'm all in. I'm ready for it to happen.
Tommy's like, I'll probably just sit here and won't say anything anyway. So, like,
hey, I held my own this week.
Hey, you did good, buddy. You did good.
I'm getting
You did
there.
better than last week, and you're almost as good as you're going to do next week. So don't forget that. That's my positive motivation after cutting that TikTok video of telling people I don't like people that are overly positive or happy.
He said, Mr. Rogers, fuck him.
That's right. I think he's a cop anyways.
He's a dead cop.
Kind of like the guy that played Barney.
Rip.
No, I think the dude that played Barney's still alive. I think he's just a sex fiend.
But yeah. I thought you were talking about Barney 5, but yeah.
Wait, the dude from Andy Griffin?
Yes.
No, I don't know anything about him.
Pretty sure he's dead.
We'll leave you with this note. If you want something interesting to read, go look up the history of Barney the dinosaur and the guy that played Barney the dinosaur. It'll ruin your childhood memories.
There's also an excellent documentary on the cock about Barney the dinosaur.
Is it really?
It's called I Love You, You Hate Me. It's a two-parter.
I don't know if you're telling the truth or you're lying.
No, it's real. I watched it probably about a year ago. It's just about like the whole Barney saga.
Huh.
It'll take about 2.5 hours of your time.
I'll have to check it out then. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. We appreciate the support. We'll see you soon. Have a good night.
Peace.